Hey there, this is Ill Factor. In this video, I want to talk about using a doubler to widen and sometimes beefen up a lead vocal. Now, I've created a customized doubler plugin modeled after some of my favorite hardware and virtual doubler plugins. And so this is yours absolutely free, so just watch to the end of the video so you can see how you can download and access your free doubler. Now let's just dive right in. Now, a doubler can be used for many different reasons, but I personally use a doubler on vocals to help widen the stereo imaging and also beef it up to help it stand out of a mix. But sometimes a doubler can also be used to just shape or create character and tone for a vocal or any instrument for that matter. So I've got a record here that I've produced and written, and when I was putting this together, it had this awesome 80s vibe to it. So I knew that I was going to use a doubler for the vocals, but what I wanted to do was go a little bit overboard and saturate the doubler on this vocal. So I created a custom doubler specifically for this project to get the sound that I'm looking for so that the vocals fit this 80s vibe and match the record well. So I'm going to play the vocal dry in the context of the mix, and then I'll add the doubler on there and you can see the difference that it makes. And then I'll walk you through exactly how I've created this doubler, and then after that I'll show you how you can download it and use it in your projects as well. So let me start by just playing the mix with the vocal dry and no doubler so you can just get a general feel for the record and the vibe. So let's go ahead and do that.
Hey babe, now I wanna take you out. Driving through the neon lights, gonna pick you up.
Alright, so you get the vibe. And so what I wanted to do was use a doubler to kind of make the vocal feel like it was tracked in the 80s and just get that overall that sound and the character. So let me go ahead and play it with the doubler so you can notice the difference.
Hey babe, now I wanna take you out. Driving through the neon lights, gonna pick you up.
So yeah, I have it a little bit on an extreme level because I wanted to create a character, create some character with that plugin on the vocals, and I love the texture that it's now giving to that vocal performance. So let me go and walk you through what's going on here. So we've got a return track, which you can simply create by right-clicking anywhere here and just hit Insert Return Track. Now the return track is used so that you can put a plugin on there and route and send audio using the sends on this lead vocal track, or any track for that matter, to that return track. So here is the vocal doubler that I've created, and I'll start with the dry and wet knob. Now I created the dry and wet knob so that you can actually use this on a return track or directly place this in your audio track or whatever instrument that you want to use this doubler on, and this will work great with guitars, synths, and anything. So if you're using it directly on that track, you want to just use the dry and wet knob to determine how much of the actual dry signal and how much of the doubled signal you want to hear. Now, because I'm using this on the return track, I would suggest that you just use it all the way wet so that you don't get no dry signal bleeding through, causing any phasing. Now let's start with the Widen Knob. Now the Widen Knob I created using a simple delay to model one of my favorite doublers, and that's an Eventide harmonizer, and I've used that plenty of times on many different sessions. I think the first time I ever used that plugin when I was in Virginia working on the Ginuwine record, and when I was tracking vocals with Ginuwine, I was right next to Jimmy Douglas, and he was showing me his bread and butter, and I was asking him, like, how can I get like his vocal to kind of just shimmer and widen a little bit? And he showed me the Eventide harmonizer for the first time in my life, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. And so I love that hardware device, and so what I've done was just kind of match the parameters of some of the presets that I love using on that plugin using a simple delay. And so what this knob is doing is it's letting you know how wide would you like this signal to sound. And I'm using just the millisecond delays on the simpler, having one set on the right the way I like it, and then I'm just using the Widen Knob here to macro control the left signal. And so you'll see the difference. So let me just solo the vocal, and let's just turn the Widen Knob up and down.
Hey babe, now I wanna take you out.
And then you notice that If I move this really quick, it's got this repitching issue. So that's how I have the simple delay set. So it actually emulates more of that tape delay and more of the eventide harmonizer vibe as well. So this determines how wide you want the signal to be. Next up, I've added a saturator, something that I like using so to actually give it some grit. And you could see the difference once I minimize the saturation.
Hey babe, now I
ramp this up.
take you up.
So I've used the dynamic too to add some grit and not oversaturated, but give some good warmth to that. And now this knob, the mono stereo, is great to actually give the overall character of doubling. And so this is specifically modeled after the Waves ADT plugin, something that I like to use sometimes. And so I modeled it here to give to centralize. It's cool because when you squish the stereo imaging and force it to be mono, you get something unique. It's something unlike a lot of the doublers out there. So I like using this knob, and I just encourage you to just tweak it, play around with it till you get a nice sweet spot with this. And so that's what I did here. Now, if you tweak it all the way to the right, you're going to get a very wide stereo image. But the more you move the knob to the left, it'll kind of mirror that stereo imaging straight to the middle. So what you get is this unique tone with the vocal. Let me show you.
Hey babe, now I wanna take you up. Driving through the neon lights, gonna pick you up.
Okay. Now, the next knob I have down here is called Warm. And what this is ultimately going to do is it's going to enable a filter, and this is going to hide or bring the doubler back into the mix, which is something I like doing a lot. I don't want any of the highs or the shimmer to be kept through in the mix, so using the Warm knob and turning it to the right will filter out some of the high end of that vocal or whatever it is I'm running through this doubler, and having this double just kind of like tucked really nice in the mix and hearing the effect but not making it such so evident. So this is if you want it to be subtle, so you can just use the Warm knob to do that.
Hey babe, now I wanna take you up.
Less warm will just make it more evident.
Driving through the neon lights, gonna pick you up.
Now, you might have noticed this little knob here that says swirls. So this can be an added bonus. If you do have Max for Live enabled, you can use a Max LFO plugin to use the LFO to just mapped out to the Widen Knob and have that go up and down. So let me demonstrate that for you now. So I'm going to go over to Max for Live, and we're going to choose Max Audio Effect. And I'm looking for LFO, just LFO AMXD. And we're going to click and drag that into the chain. Now just wait for Max for Live to load up. And what we're going to do with this LFO plugin is we're simply going to click Map and choose this macro, the Widen. And now as you can see, it's headbanging a little bit. So what I'm going to do is change the rate so it's not just going that crazy all the time. So this is automatically assigning this LFO to widen the knob up and down at whatever rate you want. Now this is really good if you really want to model that ADT wobble effect. And this is just kind of like, this is the effect you would get normally if you had modulation going on with a doubling. So this is a great way to approach that. So this is what it would sound like.
Hey babe, now I wanna take you up.
So you can see that there's motion going on. And so the faster you increase the rate,
driving through the neon lights, gonna pick you up.
You can increase the smooth knob so that it's not making
I
it
see you waiting on the corner for me.
So that's just a great little feature that you can add. Don't really need it, but that's something to implement. So what I'll do is I'll map this off of the Widen Knob, and I'll just go ahead and set this to the parameters that I had it for the mix. Now, the reason why I'm using it on an return track is because I'm also routing a couple other vocal parts in this song to this doubler. So I want the same effect to be added all across the board. And that's why I'm having it on a return track as opposed to just directly inserting this plugin onto the vocal. So now let me go ahead and mix the return track output with the vocal in the mix so I can get the kind of feel that I'm looking for. So this is what it sounds like again without the doubler. Now this is with the doubler on there.
You waiting on the corner for me. I see you just.
Got me breaking it down here for a little bit. Anyways, so I'm using this doubler to give not just widening up the vocal, but actually give character and tone to the actual lead vocal, so that it has a specific vibe to that. And this vocal doubler is great, a great plugin that I've created for that specific purpose. So let me show you how you can actually download this plugin and use it in your current sessions. Now the free Ableton Live set is contained in a zip file. So once you download it, go ahead and unzip that file. And then when you unzip it, you'll notice in the folder you have an Ableton Live project folder. You can simply just double click that and it'll open up a Ableton Live project. Now for those of you who are using an older version of Ableton Live, I believe this was made with 9.5. So if you have any version that's older than that, then I'll show you how to actually access the vocal chain and the doubler. But right now, just open up that Ableton Live set, and you'll notice that once you open the set, you'll have some drum loops in there that you can easily trigger and access, and some bass loops as well as some synth loops, and these you're free to use in any which way you want. I've created a sub instrument. This is a great 808 sub that you can use, as well as a synth bass and some retro sounding synth I've created, and a drum rack filled with effects that you can go ahead and implement in your projects. And there's an audio track labeled vocal chain, and that's where you're going to find the vocal chain that you can access. And if you need more information on what this vocal chain is doing and how to actually use it for your vocals, then go ahead and click the link above so that you can access the vocal chain video. Now, I've also incorporated a cool little tape delay that I've created on here as well. Now, if you want to incorporate the doubler that I've just shown you in this video, simply go back to the file folder that you've downloaded, and you'll notice that there is an ADG file. Or you can drag and drop the vocal chain, the sub bass, as well as the doubler. So just click and add that to any location in your places, whether it be a folder or your user library. You're going to click and add that, and you'll see it show right up in your browser. Once it's located in your browser, you can simply click and drag that to any instrument that you want. And there's the doubler. So it can be there, or you can just go ahead and create a return track like we did in the video and add that to the doubler as well. So there you go. I hope this was helpful. Feel free to just use any of this stuff. Be creative. I hope it inspires you to break through some of the barriers you're facing and inspire you to just create some new stuff with these free this free Ableton Live set. Now, let me know in the comments below what you would like to see in upcoming videos. I'm really looking forward to doing some more, so let me know by just leaving a comment below. And be sure to subscribe so you can keep up to date with the videos that I'll be doing in the near future. Now, once again, just use the link below in the description box to access your Ableton Live set for free. Thank you so much for watching this video. Take care.